This involves both hardware security, obviously, which is what exists today, and increasing security on model usage and increasing security over how autonomous assets can coordinate within contested environments.
How does the cryptography fit into the hardware? Ultimately, like defense is a multitude of things.
How do you see this growing kind of physical and digital space with regards to AI? Obviously, the ZK side, the privacy side, the proving side. Welcome back to AI Supercycle, our premier AI show, airing every single week, presented by Near. We cover the ins and outs of decentralized AI, privacy, and the future of this massive technology.
Near is the blockchain for AI and the execution of AI native apps. You can check out Near's latest AI product at near.ai. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Alrighty, guys, welcome back to AI Supercycle, episode number 16, our weekly premier AI show, powered by our friends over at Near, crushing with their Near Intense products. They're also their private Near AI chat product, one of my favorite ChatGPT chat products, esque product. So, Ismael, welcome to the show.
Andy, Robbie, thank you so much for having me back. Love being here always.
First show of the new year with our friend Ishmael. You were part of the recurring cast of characters back in 2025, and feels like we're just getting back to it.
Oh, I know. It's going to be a big year. We talked about everything from AI to ZK last year, and I think the AI space, at least, is not slowing down.
Yeah, man, it's definitely not. Man, catch us up.
Yeah, what's the latest?
What is the latest in this intersection between AI and ZK? I know that you guys are doing some interesting work with ZK/ML, as well as just general defense work, which is also interesting.
Yeah.
Catch us up here.
Yeah, so for everyone who doesn't know, Lagrange is a company that builds cryptography. ZK, FHE, consensus, everything that's required to make AI safe across dual use technology, both commercial, things like crypto, and now defense. A big part of the last 6 months was us taking our industry leading technology from within crypto and finding dual use applications of that with legacy primes, with up and coming defense companies, people like Anduril, Shield, and continuing to purpose that within crypto for tremendous business value.
And so my understanding of Anduril, I remember I saw the demo of the headset on Joe Rogan, and this guy was able to, you could see through walls. It was incredible. I can only imagine what, was happening in Venezuela when we took Maduro, maybe putting some of that technology to work. How does the cryptography fit into the hardware? Ultimately, like defense is a multitude of things, but where does the cryptography fit into the AI weaponry defense stack?
Yeah, this is a great question. So to take a step back, we've had a thesis for a while that the cryptography that's being developed and financed in crypto is light years ahead of what's being done in any other sector, right? We're the only industry that throws billions of dollars into research on consensus and ZK and FHE and all this stuff, right? Except every single company in crypto is only purposing this innovation into crypto. We've seen the broad variety of other sectors that the companies that can take something that's built in the private sector and purpose that dual use into supporting American warfighters have been able to have tremendous impact and have been able to drive substantial business value, shareholder value. And we believe that crypto is no different. There's an opportunity to take things in crypto that have secured AI in some of the most adversarial environments, right? Securing billions of dollars of assets across consensus, across ZK usage, and across AI agents on chain, and to purpose that to secure AI used in autonomous weaponry and defense relevant programs. And so this involves both hardware security, obviously, which is what exists today, and increasing security on model usage and increasing security over how autonomous assets can coordinate within contested environments.
So the ZK element is important for these autonomous environments. Why? Like why is this property important for this specific niche?
Yeah, so assume that you have a defense relevant drone that you put into a battlefield environment, right? That drone has an onboard model or is communicating back to a command and control system that's running a model to coordinate what that asset does. The question is the right model being used? Has that model been tampered with? Has the connection been tampered with? Has the result that is that drone is going to use to make a kill chain relevant decision, is that coming from the right model? These are all very, very important properties when you use AI in defense-relevant programs. Our thesis is that the cryptography that's been developed in crypto has a unique opportunity to secure that.
Got it.
This is fascinating. This is something that, because this is a combination of DPIN, but also ZK and some of the cryptography that we've talked about on the show. And so we haven't really broken into this. Was, you've been in the cryptography space, for a long time building Lagrange, but when did it dawn on you that, okay, we should be applying our cryptographic principles to this particular sector of the industry? How do you break into this category?
I think some of the work and some of the speeches by, Alex Karp in Technological Republic or some of Palmer Luckey's podcasts talk about this idea that you have a generation of companies, the food delivery apps, the future of work things, the payment infrastructure, that effectively have taken the best American engineers and researchers and have purposed them to do things that are trivial, effectively small quality of life improvements for the top 10% in income earning in the United States. And so you can take that technology, and effectively companies like Palantir and Anduril and Shield have taken that technology from the Valley and have purposed that to secure and to build new defense programs to extend U.S. Drone and defense and AI dominance. Now, crypto is very much in the same position, right? What has the industry put $1 billion of R&D into ZK for, right? It's to launch more blockchains. It's to have more private blockchains, sell more tokens effectively, right? Which is fine. People make a lot of money selling tokens. But there's an opportunity to take that technology and the exact same way companies like Palantir and Anduril and Shield have with their respective industries, and to purpose what has been built and financed in crypto into defense. I think the analogies are very clear, at least to me. But the question is, hey, what team has the capability of doing it? We're a research company. We've been developing zero-knowledge systems for the better part of 4 years. Fortunately, or unfortunately, you guys have invited us on here for 4 years to hear us talk about it. And I think the frontier of that is obviously continuing to apply this stuff in crypto to generate obviously substantial token holder value, as well as finding opportunities outside of crypto. And defense is one that is very, very important to us as a business to apply our technology to.
Yeah. So we're pretty big on the privacy part of AI in this show. And I was mentioning Near.ai, their chat product, which effectively is like a very private LLM chat product. When it comes to the privacy aspect of ZK, we've seen a bid on Monero and Zcash recently. You can't even call it a meta. These things have existed for so long. How do you think about the relevance of the private angle with the work that you guys are doing as it applies to whether it be some of your decentralized prover networks, Deep Proof, ZKML, and then how that applies to kind of crypto, other industries? Like, talk to us about your personal and Lagrange's perspective on the privacy aspect as it relates to the ZK work that you're doing.
Yeah, I think you guys are ahead of the curve here as usual. The ability to apply privacy-preserving technology onto AI is one of the largest unsolved commercial problems, I think, within crypto and outside of crypto. The reality is there's two questions in privacy I think are important. A, how do you keep the model private to protect the weights, the biases, the architecture, and all of the business relevant properties for the person who developed that? And two, how do you allow the data, the prompt that people are using as input to generate some inference result to also be private? And these are two separate problems, right? There's the business side of how do I make sure my IP is not stolen? And, let's say you're in defense, it's how do I make sure it's not stolen by China? If you're in the US, it's how do I make sure my LLM that I'm using to underwrite insurance data is not stolen by my competitor? And then the other side is how do I ensure that all of my personal data is private? And this is where things like ZK are so important. Deep Proof, our flagship product, is able to address both of those things, right? The first is you can run inference over a model that's verifiable while keeping that model private. You can ensure if you're a user that you're sending your request to, Google Gemini, and the result you're getting back is coming from the right commitment to that right model. You also, using ancillary technology like MPC or FHE, on top of something like Deep Proof, you can add privacy on top of the input, such that the prompt you're sending is not going to be seen in plain text effectively by the person running that inference for you, which is great. And it makes me feel nice and warm and fuzzy if it's my own personal conversations with ChatGPT. But when you talk about enterprise or business context, it's even more important.
Hibachi is fast and private perps trading, secured by ZK with Celestia underneath. Go to hibachi.xyz to start trading today.
Looking for yield that stands out? infiniFi gives you just that. Deposit stablecoins and earn far more than the current savings rate. infiniFi is a battle-tested, reliable DeFi platform that is ready to go. Head to infinifi.xyz.
Halliday is unified crypto payments. Give your users more wherever they are. Go to halliday.xyz to never write a smart contract again. And give us an update on the state of ZK, because for so long this was in R&D phase. It was very academic. We had to do hard math in order to, get the performance to a point where it became useful as a pragmatic business solution. Where are we at today? What has the performance been like over the last few months? And do we still have more room to go, or is it at the pace and the performance now where, if we need to prove every, instance of where a drone is shooting, we can get that proof back, within a matter of milliseconds in order for the drone to make a decision, or we're able to use it in chatbots at scale? Where are we at in the state of ZK?
Yeah, I mean, have you guys ever seen that chart where it shows effectively like the hype on stuff and it gets really high and then it goes all the way down and slowly rises back up again? That's what ZK was, right? For the early part of last year, and then definitely in 2024, the hype on ZK was so high. It was, we're going to solve everything with zero knowledge. Every blockchain, every roll up, everything in the world is going to be proven in ZK, and we're going to throw cash at this problem, right? And the industry, as we always do, got over its skis on it. Right? This is what happened with ZK. And you realize, hey, this isn't as fast as we hoped it was. Even with GPU acceleration and custom chips, we're 3-5 years away from this taking over literally all compute. And we're still on that timeline, right? ZK is inordinately faster than it was a year ago, about an order of magnitude. And it's an order of magnitude faster than it was a year before that, an order of magnitude faster than it was before that. There is now a variety of commercial applications that ZK can be purposed for, and is being purposed for, things like defense, things like enterprise, and obviously things like cheap block space on chain that were infeasible 12 to 24 months ago. Now, can we prove every inference from Opus 4.5? Can we prove everything from Gemini 3? Can we prove everything from any major commercial model with ZK right now? Probably not. Will we be able to in 12 to 24 months from now? I believe so, right? We are approaching that point faster than ever before. And I personally think it's going to be one of the largest economic opportunities that crypto has seen when everything becomes effectively ZK-ified.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think that people are going to want this like now. Like, people want this privacy aspect now. They want ZK to work now. Has the progress of the actual technology in terms of the proving costs and time, has it significantly improved? Where are you at with like your latest 2026 benchmarks?
Yeah, so we've announced that we can prove Gemma 3, we can prove GPT architectures, we can prove a variety of open commercial models with Deep Proof that are large LLMs. Mostly what we've been running is kind of low 10-figure parameter models through our prover, and we can prove about 1 token per second right now, which it is not as fast as we think we will be able to in a year. We can assume maybe 10 tokens per second in a year and 100 tokens per second in 2 years, but it's substantially faster than it was before. I agree with you that people want things now, and that is why, as a business, there are use cases that are willing to accept latency and willing to pay a little bit more for verifiability, and use cases that aren't, right? If you are getting medical data and you want to ensure that it's private and verifiable so your patient doesn't, have a life-threatening adverse effect, then you're willing to pay for that, right? An extra, 10 seconds and an extra, $5 or $2 is not really going to make or break you. But if you're just vibe coding on Claude, we're not at the point that ZK is the right technology to just prove everything outright there, right? You don't really need verifiability. It's maybe a nice to have, but doesn't really matter. And so that's where we are with ZK for at least AI. Super impactful, super relevant for a variety of commercial use cases in high value sectors, things like defense, healthcare, finance, and now approaching on things that are much more consumery. when that's where I think the big frontier will be within 12, 24 months.
What has been the perception within the defense space when you bring them ZK? Are they cursorily aware of it? What has been is there much of a learning curve? Because it seems to me, we used to, a couple months ago, we would ask, some of the crypto companies that were diving deeper into payments. They were going and pitching banks and getting adoption. It's like, okay, how do you guys pitch a bank DeFi? And they would kind of walk us through, where their learning knowledge, where their knowledge base was, and what other things, they needed to get through and overcome in order to understand really the value proposition here. What has been the knowledge base of those in defense company, and how much have you had to overcome when you're explaining ZK?
When we first started talking to defense companies, a big part of my worry was they would not take us seriously, right? Very fortunately, we hired a fantastic lead of our defense go-to-market, who has a significant amount of experience. He's a military background and defense GTM background as well, who's been architecting a lot of our defense GTM. But broadly, I was very concerned that we wouldn't be taken seriously because we're a crypto company. But it's a credit to the defense industry and the companies that we've spoken with that they're very willing to embrace new technology, right? The imperative is to win, to build the best thing possible and ensure that they can effectuate whatever type of mission outcomes they need to by maximizing security and maximizing the capabilities that are available to American warfighters. And there is an incredible willingness across both the Department of War, across DARPA, across government agencies, and across defense companies, both primes and the upstarts, to actually embrace things that are available. Almost all of them have cryptographers on staff. Are they working on things like ZK, FHE, consensus? No, not most of them are not. But they understand what this stuff is. They have cryptography backgrounds. They have very technical teams. They have research labs, and they're very willing to find ways to try to purpose this to see if there is the potential to augment and improve on the security properties of their systems.
Yeah, that is very interesting, Rob.
Well, I find it fascinating. I was reading about this last night and how, right now in the current administration, we're taking a more top-down approach. And Ismael, you're absolutely right. Like, the objective is to win.
Yes.
Period. And we've heard that from the highest level of the government. And so they've chosen particular sectors where we want to win. AI, defense, crypto is another one. Drone dominance. And so we know that there's going to be significant investment, not just in financial investment, but also time and energy and resources that are deployed in winning in these particular categories. And so you saw this, you allocated, more time into going into this particular direction. Where do you go from here? How do you think we continue to develop ZK adoption into defense? And then broadly, what are there other categories that you're tackling? You guys all in on defense? And if so, where does defense go from here as it gets more implemented?
Yeah, so this is a fantastic set of questions. We're a dual use company, right? So our ZK machine learning technology, Deep Proof, is valuable across both defense and commercial. So we have a bunch of commercial partners across enterprise finance, across healthcare, across enterprise AI. And then we have a bunch of folks that we're working with in defense. We've announced that we're part of supplier ecosystems with some of the largest primes, and we've demoed open integrations with a variety of defense SDK environments. And there's a bunch of stuff we can't talk about because of NDAs and obviously other types of compliance requirements that are in place in defense. But we're very, very excited about that category as one of our principal expansion areas over the next year. Now, where we go from here, I think that there are other problems in defense that are adjacent to zero knowledge proofs that also have tremendous commercial opportunities. Things like teaming and swarming, right, in contested environments is very much, in our view, a consensus and BFT problem, right? You have 10,000 drones, they don't have an operator link, and they need to be able to coordinate a mission outcome when at any point in time, K event of those could be shot down or compromised, right? If I said, hey, I have 1,000 nodes and I want to make sure that a bunch of them might be taken over or bad actors, and I want them to reach an agreement over what to do, you tell me consensus, right? That's how we think of it in crypto. But that's an open problem in teaming and swarming for defense. And that's an area that we as a business are taking some steps into right now.
Trade on anything: economics, weather, sports, crypto, and more. All on Kalshi.com 24/7 for the world's biggest prediction market.
YEET is built for big moments. The most fun you'll ever have with your crypto. Go to yeet.com to yeet into your next game.
Not your keys, not your coins. From the team that pioneered cold storage, Trezor has just released its new wallet. Guys, if you are still using hot wallets in 2025, 2026, you are missing the entire point. Secure your coins. Get a Trezor at trezor.io. Love that, man. Curious from your perspective, what you think the blockchain kind of intersection here is at play, right? So kind of thinking of this AI crypto category. Again, it was late 2024. We had this agentic kind of Twitter account phase that really ran this year or this past year. It kind of came back, but hasn't really came back. Like when you're thinking about in the context of this kind of AI ZK proving privacy lens, as well as these kind of extrapolated categories being defense, drones, etc. Where do you see the most applicable blockchain or like use cases for blockchain? We even had a bit of a robotics thesis conversation earlier with Grant from Blockmates about 2026, and he kind of said like, look, I'm yet to really see how crypto rails are going to improve anything in robotics. How do you see this growing kind of physical and digital space with regards to AI? Obviously, the ZK side, the privacy side, the proving side. Where do you really see this intersection happening? What is that going to look like? I think a lot of investors really want to allocate to this category. They look at BitTensor, maybe they look at Lagrange, they look at some other assets. What are we looking for from the investor perspective as far as where the real use cases for blockchain, what that kind of transition looks like? Give us a bit of lens from that perspective.
Yeah, the taxonomy I like to use here is that blockchains and ancillary technology that's financed within the blockchain space are security technologies, right? It allows you to apply new types of security properties on top of, effectively compute, right? You're able to provide verifiability with ZK in some aspects of privacy. You're able to provide privacy with FHE. You're able to provide resilience and liveness guarantees with consensus. And cryptocurrency is a mechanism for payment, right? It's a mechanism to transact and to store value effectively and account for value. And so the answer to where you're able to find value in the intersection of AI and crypto just comes down to where do you need efficient payments and where do you need security or privacy. And so where I see those things being is the application of AI in enterprise contexts where there's not counterparty trust. That's where security becomes very valuable, right? There's no counterparty trust across large swarms of AI systems used in defense, right? That's the zero trust properties in defense. So it's useful there, right? There's no counterparty trust between a large hospital and potentially a closed source LLM provider who doesn't want their data to be mined. Great application of blockchain technology. And where do you need payments? Well, for large scale agent coordination. I think that's going to be one of the most natural use cases for it. I think a little bit of this also data aggregation and data collection is another fantastic use case, right? How do we allow mass payments for data across thousands of heterogeneous countries or hundreds of heterogeneous countries and tens of thousands or millions of heterogeneous actors? Another fantastic use case. But I think what it all boils down to is where do you need efficient payments and where do you need augmented security and privacy?
Ishmael, last thing from my end is, just where do you think we are 2026 if you're looking back at the end of the year? Any predictions in the defense space, the ZK space, or crypto as a whole? What are you most looking forward to this year? And any closing thoughts?
What I'm looking forward to is seeing smart people tackle hard problems. The big issue that crypto has had, specifically towards the early to mid part of last year and definitely in 2024, was very, very smart people tackling things that were not very hard because it was profitable to do things that were easy. That's not compelling, and that's not a good use of intellectual capital. We're seeing within traditional tech a shift away from building food delivery apps and Slack clones and SaaS wrappers into people solving hard problems: drone dominance, hypersonic missiles, nuclear fuel, things like this, rare mineral refining, domestic semiconductor production, right? And we're seeing that same trend in crypto. People who are raising capital to do things that have substantive value, things that generate revenue. There's companies that are doing energy infrastructure. There's DePIN doing wireless networks. It's companies like us that are focusing on an intersection of defense, AI, and crypto, or crypto infrastructure. This is the type of thing that I think will have substantial growth this next year. The easy money has been flushed out post 1010 in my view. What's left is allocators who want to deploy directionally into things that have real fundamentals with the capacity to generate meaningful long-term returns.
Yeah, man, we're calling this neo finance, this intersection.
I love it.
Yeah, good. Honestly, the reception's been bullish, so I'm
Really
pretty
good.
excited. Yeah, we're calling this neo finance. It's this intersection between legacy finance and DeFi. It's kind of got multiple enemies here. It's just really all about what's been done in the past, whether it be within the industry or just like kind of legacy finance and the way that works. Closing out here for the AI ZK category, what are some of the teams that you've seen pop up in the last six months, really, or even more recently, whether you're partnering with them, teams that you're excited about in this AI crypto space, or in the ZK and defense space that you're working with that you can talk about? Give us a sense of like where we should be paying attention in this sector.
Yeah, this is a great question. I would say that to start with, the amount of risk financing that's moving into ZK and cryptography is an all-time low, right? There's very few early stage companies we see raising with ZK anymore. It's almost all the incumbents. With the AI x crypto intersection, we have a lot of great partners there who I think are fantastic. I think Sentient's an amazing team. I think our friends at Mira are a great team. I think, I'm trying to think who else. I think Aether is a great product. I think a lot of these GPU marketplaces are interesting. OpenMind, I think, is a great play on the robotics side. All of this stuff I think is very exciting. Now, in defense, I mean, there's just almost too many companies to name, but I think a lot of the work with Anduril and Shield kind of at the top of the space is really, really good. I think some of the work with Archer is doing with like eVTOL powertrains, like they were using in Anduril's Omen drone, is also very exciting. Obviously, they're a dual-use company. They're also doing commercial, but we like them a lot. And then I think that there's a lot of work being done in defense for low-cost, easy-to-produce, domestically produced military equipment. Things like cheap mass production of drones. The U.S.'s answer kind of for DJI drones, and I think that's an area that I'm very excited about. Right. There's this interesting cost trade-off in defense that I always like to talk about, where, if you have to spend $1 million to shoot down a $1,000 DJI drone, you really are not going to win long-term because you can saturate air defenses very fast. It's an economics problem. And so this is why you need to be able to produce large-scale domestic armaments that are low cost. Things like Anduril's Barracudas. These are, obviously, I think 200,000 a missile, and way, way cheaper for shooting down low-cost armaments or low-cost sorties.
Wow. Well, thanks for that, man. I hope the investors that are listening that are interested are able to check those out. Ismael, congrats on the great work with Lagrange. Guys, this has been our AI Super Cycle episode 16, powered by our friends at Near, the leading private AI chain in crypto. Ismael, thanks for joining us.